Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for Married at First Sight reunion part 2. Y'all, I don't know if I want to laugh, if I want to cry, if I want to be angry, if I want to be mad. Basically, just call me Emily. Just call me Emily. I'm going to tell y'all right at the top, Emily is a reality TV goldmine. There is no way that there's not going to be some toxic reality TV show out here that's not going to call Emily. They're going to call her. They are going to call her because she has ended up being the most toxic, negative person in the entire season. In fact, y'all, I think she has dethroned Alyssa. Y'all remember Alyssa? I think she's dethroned Alyssa. Alyssa's tagline was, I am a good person. And Emily's tagline is going to become, I am a positive person. I am a positive person. Please, Enemy Emily. That's what I really should call her. Enemy Emily. Because we find out that Emily don't really like a lot of people. We find out that Emily didn't even like Claire in the beginning. I can believe it. I can't believe it. Because let me tell you something. When I first started calling Emily negative, I got a lot of people in my comments who were mad with me, telling me how controlling Brennan is. I said, no, but I'm telling you, Emily's very negative. And when I first clued in on Emily being so negative was when she had that whole rant about her daddy. Remember when her daddy would take her to play soccer and she acted like her daddy was the gum on the bottom of her shoe? She talked so negatively about her father. And I was thinking, I'm quite sure that was not her father's intent as a parent, right? Her father's intent was to probably instill something into Emily. And one of those things probably was accountability. And it didn't work. It did not work because Emily has zero accountability. She is really unable to see herself. She really is very, very toxic and she really is very negative. I'm going to have to say she beats out Alyssa. What do y'all think? Do you think Alyssa's still number one in one of the most toxic or horrible wives on mafs history? I think it's Emily. And I'm going to start calling Emily, not only was she toxic, she really wanted to be the HBIC, head bitch in charge. That's what she wanted. She wanted to be the head. That's why she bumped heads with Claire in the very beginning. Because what Emily saw in Claire was a leader. And Emily likes to lead. Emily is competitive. That's why she likes to go toe-to-toe with Brennan, word for word, jab for jab. Emily likes to be in charge. She wants to be the head bitch in charge. And she thinks she is. She's still running around talking about she's a 10 and everybody else is a 6. Besides negative, toxic, delusional, enemy Emily, what other kind of taglines can we give Emily? Because she was a hot mess. And then we had Lauren over here trying to take a few jabs at Cameron. I don't know why. Cameron ain't even your husband, Lauren. Stick to jabbing at Orion. Stick to jabbing at your man. But because I guess Orion didn't come here to fight. Orion said, I ain't coming here to fight. I guess Lauren had to have her moment in the spotlight with the solidarity in pink. She's like, well, Orion, if you're not going to go back and forth with me this time, I guess I'll go over here and go back and forth with Cameron. And so she had to have her moment with Cameron just to get some licks in, I guess. I guess that's what this is about. Becca's still crying. Becca is still crying, but at least she ain't begging no more. I used to call her begging Becca, but at least she's not begging anymore, but she's still crying. In fact, you know what? You can look at Becca's facial expression several times. And even what the ladies are doing is a little bit too much for Becca. Becca really doesn't want to do what the ladies are doing. She really doesn't want to take it this far. But this gang of pink, that's what we ought to call them. The gang of pink. we got the Bloods, the Crips, and then we got the mafs wives, the gang of pink with their pink rags hanging out their back pockets. Please, they're like a gang. Just like the men said, they talk about us in collusion and collaboration and coming up with a scheme. These ladies have come up with a whole scheme all season long. They probably got a theme song and everything because Were y'all really sniffing out how they was pumping up themselves in that dressing room? It was really a sight to be seen. One of the things we've been talking about is, or at least I've been talking about, is I saw this very early on in the season that these men didn't like the women. And one of the things I kept saying to myself is, I don't really understand why the ladies didn't see it. Why haven't the ladies picked up on this? Now, this was before I knew that they too were kind of in on the thing. But I was saying, I don't really understand why the ladies haven't picked up that these men don't really like them, that they're lying. And we see Austin has continued to lie on this reunion part 2. He's continued to lie. Austin has lied all season to get out of things he doesn't want to do. He didn't want to have sex with Becca at all. And what he used was the fact that he doesn't have sex 3 to 6 months. What he used was his religion. He used all these things to get out of having sex with Becca all season long without telling her the truth. Then now on this reunion part 2, now all of a sudden he's got a tummy ache to get out of having to be on set. Austin, really? But they got him good. They said, you know what? You're not going to get excused. You are not going to get excused from reunion part 2 like you got excused from not having sex with Becca. No. You don't get a pass, Austin. You can go downstairs and lay on that cot. You can go lay on that bed, but in 1 hour, we want your ass back up here, because if you don't come back up here, you ain't going to get no check. And what we know from a lot of these people, they want that check. They wanted that money. That's one of the reasons they stayed on this show, was for that check and for that money. I know for sure it was Cameron's deal. I know for sure Cameron stuck around for the check. Okay, because I believe Cameron was short on cash. That's why he had to leave that bike business. That's why he had to go back to corporate American finance, because he was short on money. And what he was trying to do, he was trying to stay on this show for money. After everything would have fouled with him and old girl Claire, he was on here for the money. In fact, I saw them text messages. Y'all like, well, have you seen the text message that show it was all Cameron's idea? No, I read them differently. What I read from those text messages was that they was in collusion. There was one portion where it sounded like it was Cameron coming up with the idea. I saw that. I think he's very diabolical. I do. I told you, it is something about a man living in a basement apartment with a bunch of dead spiders and not getting rid of those dead spiders that tells you something ain't right. Even the experts this episode, the therapist told everybody, you need therapists. You need therapy. The therapists, the experts, they said, you know what? Everybody on here needs some therapy. And don't be going to no group therapy in one big pink group. Go individually, because this mob, this gang of pink that y'all got going is not going to work. You need to break this up, and you need to go to therapy on your own. You need to go to therapy on your own. But I know Cameron was on here for the check. After he and Claire had decided their marriage was over, Cameron said, I'll stay for the check. I need the money. I'm going to be closing down my business. I need a couple of months salary to keep me going. He probably got health care through mafs while he was on this show. And mafs probably paid for his heart surgery. Because every time you turn around, he's linking his heart surgery to the trauma he had with Claire. You hear it? You hear it? I even saw it in the text message talking about, I got a good trial lawyer. Let me tell you, Cameron is after that money. Cameron has linked his heart condition to the trauma he has experienced on mafs, and therefore mafs need to pay his hospital bills, and mafs probably needs to give him some sort of, what's it called? Damages, punitive damages. Cameron's a piece of work. Cameron been here before. Cameron has been here before, but they were the perfect match, because I don't believe that Cameron had to rope in Claire. I don't believe it. I think Claire was the one that didn't like Cameron from the very beginning, but it was a real easy leap for Cameron to go along with the scheme, because there was a couple of times in them text messages that got released that Cameron was like, I'm out. I'm going to be done with it. And it was Claire who said, no, hang in there. We only got to do a dinner. We only got to do this. Claire wanted to keep it going. That's why when Cameron did leave and Cameron went off and had his heart surgery, and that was Cameron's out of the whole TV show. He's like, I'm done. I'm going to move out. it was Claire who didn't want to leave. Remember, we kept saying, why is Claire still here? Cameron's gone, heart surgery, recovering. Why is Claire still here? Claire keeps trying to say it was the men who kept them here. It was the men who kept them lying. Where the truth of the matter is, it wasn't the men with Claire. We already know that. But the stories fall apart. And Brenda keeps pointing that out, that their stories fall apart. How can you be held hostage in a marriage, Claire, when the man you're married to has already exited? Cameron had already exited the marriage. He had exited the whole doggone TV show because he had his out. His out was, I'm going to leave this show. I'm going to go have heart surgery, and I'm going to blame my heart surgery on Married at First Sight, and I'm going to make them not only pay for my surgery, they're going to pay me for this season, and then they're going to give me a little extra money because I need some money. My bike shop is going under, and I need to make a transition to a new job. He brought in, I bring in receipts. I'm going to bring in this EKG. I'm not saying that his heart condition was fake or phony. No, I'm not saying that. But what the cause of it is, what the cause of the heart surgery is a broken heart. That's what he keeps wanting to say. He stole the story from his daddy and his mama. Remember, that was the story he told with his daddy, that his daddy had his heart condition because of his mother. And more than likely, maybe his daddy has been cared for all his life with some government money. Who knows? And maybe Cameron has decided, you know what? I'm going to give me some money for my heart condition. Because he kept trying to reiterate, it's not hereditary. It's not hereditary. This isn't a hereditary condition. Cameron is setting up a case. He probably, like he said, he already got a lawyer. I already know he's suing mafs. I know he's suing mafs. Somebody out there is probably going to pull up the paperwork, the documents, because lawsuits are public records. And I'm sure somebody going to pull up some court records to show that Cameron is suing mafs. It's too many connections. He's talking about it too much. He's trying to tell you it's not hereditary because we knew his father had a heart condition. He go, no, it's specifically for Claire. That's why he's so intent on making sure we know how much of a role Claire had in this scheme. That's why he's so intent on it, because it's just not to make Claire look bad. He needs this to prove his case, his financial case, his civil case, his damages case. He needs to show that it is Claire who caused a large contribution to his heart condition, and therefore, because it is Claire, he's going to wrap in mafs and he's going to get some money. Let me tell you, what a mess. What a mess. All episode long, they try to get on Brendan, talking about, Brendan, why didn't you tell your truth? You should have told your truth. But then when they got to Orion, and Orion had told his truth, how he felt about Lauren when he found out she had sex 2 months before the wedding, they browbeated him. So no lessons were learned. If y'all remember, in the first couple of episodes, if anyone's been with me the whole season, I said, you can't ask for the truth for someone and then browbeat them for the truth. One of the things people got mad at me in the beginning was, I preferred an Orion. I preferred a person who tells you the truth in your face. Even though people thought that he was slut-shaming Lauren, even though they thought he was judging Lauren, that's fine. The fact of the matter is, you do better with the truth. Everybody got on me. Everybody said it was wrong. And even here today, they're still browbeating Orion for telling the truth that he was turned off. He got the ick factor when he found out Lauren had sex 2 months before. Who cares if she wasn't married to Orion? He got the ick factor. And when he tried to tell his truth, everybody browbeat him. But now here we are with people who lied all season. And now you got a problem with that too. What do we want out here in the world, people? Do we want people to tell you the truth and you deal with the truth? Or do we want people to lie to us and then get mad when they lie? Because you have the truth teller Orion and he got browbeat. Then you have the liar who was Brennan, and now he's being browbeat too. Brennan basically finally said, the reason I didn't like Emily from the very beginning was because I found out she had a whole lot of one-night stands. I found out all these things about her and I didn't like it. Now, all those things about her were before she was married too. She was having not one night stands, but whatever you want to call them, situationships, whatever she wants to call them. She was having all of that prior to getting married. So should he disregard that too? Is Married at First trying to say, hey, we need to disregard people's history? No. Why do we have to disregard people's history when you're going to be married to them? Why do you tell Orion he's got to disregard Lauren's history of sex 2 months before the marriage, and we've got to tell Brennan he's got to disregard Emily's history, that's the fact that she was running around sleeping with people? No, these are people you're marrying. These aren't people I just see out on the street that I'm friends with. Sure, I don't care if I'm friends with you when you had sex. Who cares? I don't care as a friend of yours. I don't care as a colleague of yours. I don't care. It's just whatever in your life. I don't care. But if I'm married to you, if I'm going to marry to you, I get a right to care. I do get a right to care. And that's not called slut shaming. It is not called slut shaming. And it's very hypocritical of this whole entire season to get on Orion from the very beginning when he said I was turned off by your sexual history. And then when he told the truth, people were mad at him. But then come over here to Brennan when Brennan tried to pretend and lie that it didn't matter, didn't say it out loud to everybody, and now browbeat him over it because he lied. Which do you want? It sounds like what they wanted was they wanted you to tell the truth, but then what they wanted to do was they wanted to convince you that your ick factor wasn't real. So you want me to tell you the truth that I'm turned off, but then because you want the opportunity to come to me and browbeat me and try to make me feel bad to say, I don't want to that and change my mind. No, I get the right, even as a woman, to say, I don't want to be married to a man who was an F-boy. And if you want to call me judgmental, if you want to call me, what would you call it if I said that about a man? It ain't slut shaming. Maybe it is. I don't know what it is. If you want to call me that, that's good. That's why I say the truth is better. Just like Chloe said in this whole episode, live your truth. Live your truth. I think we might have been wrong about Chloe, y'all. I think we might have been wrong. I think we might have been too hard on Chloe from the very beginning. Do I believe she really wanted to be married to Michael? No, I don't think she did. I do believe that whole 200 goats on a farm and 5 foster kids, I think that was all a ruse to sort of scare him away. But one of the things I think Chloe also picked up on Michael is he's a lot of talk. A lot of talk. It got to a point in this episode, y'all, I didn't even want to hear Michael talk no more. Because I think he's a lot of talk and he don't deliver. A lot of talk and he doesn't deliver. And to be honest with you, I got tired of listening to him too. I really got tired of listening to him. We see on this next episode coming up that Lauren spits out that she and Chloe not even talking to each other. We saw in the scenes. Because she says it's all because she started following Michael. That ain't it. Ain't nobody breaking up and not being friends with you because you followed someone, Lauren. More than likely, Lauren did a little bit more than that. More than likely, either Michael or Lauren did a little bit more than that. And that's the reason why Chloe's like, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. And when we see in the scene, Chloe saying these ladies don't want to get better. No, Chloe, you're right. They don't want to get better. They want to fuss. They want to fight. They want to be toxic. And Emily and Claire are the biggest toxic people on the show. And Emily wants to keep this going. Emily's competitive. She's even competitive in arguing. She likes to argue. She likes to get stuff going. And when Chloe says these ladies really don't want to heal, they don't want to heal. They want to live in their own delusion. Their own delusion. Like I said, going back to when I said, when we sat here and wondered, why are these ladies not picking up what these men are dropping? And that is, these men are dropping, they don't want to be with them. Why is Lauren still chasing Orion? Why is Claire still in the game? Why are these ladies, why is Becca still chasing Austin? And you know what it is? They all believe they own hype. Like Emily's running around talking about she's a 10 and these boys are a 6. These men are a 6. Did y'all catch the hot mic? It wasn't a hot mic. It wasn't like it was hot or anything, but it was hot with what they were saying. Let me read some of the stuff that they was talking about, y'all. It was ridiculous. First of all, they was in that dressing room giving themselves a positive affirmations. We are wonderful. We are beautiful. We are 10s. They was pumping themselves up with a hot air balloon. So much so their heads is getting so big. Let me tell you, when your head is so big and you think you all that, you can't possibly fathom that nobody is really dropping. Nobody is picking up what you dropping. Nobody really likes you that way. They were like, we are strong. We are powerful. They were like, these men have ugly souls. You did not hear the men talking about the women like this. These women were talking about these men have ugly souls. These are low budget men. These women were saying we would never date them in real life. Well, ain't nobody dating you in real life. That's why you here. Emily, you haven't even had a date, past 2 dates, and you talking about you wouldn't date them. Girl, ain't nobody dating you. No one is dating you. They were saying we are so hot. We are out of their league. These are some bad bitch moments. This stuff was crazy, y'all. This stuff was crazy. They were like, we are too good for these men. And they were like, we not into building no man. We ain't into no building a bear man. Oh my gosh. No wonder. When you believe all this about your stuff, when you running around pumping up yourself with hot air like these women are doing, no wonder you can't look outside of yourself and say, could there be a possible reason why these men didn't like us? Not one moment during this entire reunion 1 and 2 did we hear any of these ladies apologize for any of their behavior, take any accountability for any of their behavior, and point to anything that they did wrong. Not a one. And even when the men started to apologize to them, what did they say? It's not sincere. But they didn't have one of their own. They said, nope, I'm not accepting your apology. It's not sincere. You're lying. But they didn't have a sincere apology of their own. Unbelievable. When you think about this conspiracy that the case of the conspiracy that the ladies have told, it falls apart. It's just like Brennan said, if you just look at it with a little bit of skepticism, it falls apart. What Emily is trying to tell us is that Brennan was sleeping with everybody. Brennan was sleeping with everyone. Listen to the story. Now remember, what these ladies have said was they were stuck in the marriage. They stayed in the marriage. They lied in the marriage. And the reason why they lied was to protect the marriage, because in their mind, that was the only way to fight for the marriage. So they knew that the men didn't want to be in the marriage, but what they did decide to do was lie for the men in the marriage, because somehow they thought that's how they would stay together. What do you mean, stay together with men you said didn't like you? So you admitted that the men didn't like you, but you lied for those men because that's how you thought you could save the marriage. So you could save the marriage to men you knew didn't like you by lying for those men. You were doing this all for the men. And then Emily's story is Brennan was hitting on not only her best friend, he was also hitting on Claire's friend. Brennan wanted to sleep with Emily's friend and Claire's friend. And even though you knew all this was going on, that he wanted to sleep with these 2 women, or he slept with these 2 women, you then still wanted to stay in the marriage and protect Brennan because you wanted to fight for the marriage. So now, Emily, you want to stay in a marriage, fight for a marriage for a man you just told us didn't like you, didn't love you, wasn't attracted to you, but also this same man was flirting with your best friend and then flirting with Claire's best friend and wanted to sleep with these 2 different women during the time that you were married. But this is the person you were locked into the marriage. And then Emily tells us she didn't kiss the Australian kissed her. Even though her good friend, her gang partner, who is Becca, said Emily made out with the Australian. It wasn't a kiss on the cheek. It wasn't a peck on the leak. It wasn't a peck on this. So what Emily is saying, that the Australian somehow stuck his tongue down her throat for a makeout session, but she never kissed him. He kissed her. Okay, Emily. Gotcha. Then a lot of this information that Emily says she has came from her best friend, ex-best friend, Lily. You mean that? So what are you telling me, Emily? Your ex-best friend, the one you said Brennan was trying to sleep with and she was entertaining Brennan, that's why now she's ex? So now all your information came from her and that's who you're believing? So in one way, you're taking the information Lily gave you to crucify Brennan, right? Lily said this about you, Brennan, but yet you're believing Lily's stories about Brennan. It can't be the truth. Lily is either your enemy or she's your protector. Or which one is she, Emily? You can't believe her words to crucify Brennan, but then don't. But then then say she was there the one to tell you all the bad information about Brennan. It can't be both, Emily. It can't be both. And this is the same Lily, y'all. Wasn't this one of the girls that came to the party who was drunk, who was all up, going hard for Brennan? Remember they hemmed Brennan up at the Meet the Friends? See, that's when I thought it first happened. That's when I thought Emily was talking really bad about Brennan. See, Emily doesn't realize that her negativity about Brennan signaled to her lousy best friend Lily that she didn't really like Brennan. See, Emily's so negative. She talks about people just like Brennan said. Brennan said Emily hated Claire. Emily don't like a lot of people, including her own daddy. And what she does is she talks about people real bad. And what her friend Lily did from the very beginning, we knew Lily and that other person came in with some negative information when they came over there to that party, because Emily was running her mouth talking negative about Brennan. So they were already soured on Brennan. And what Lily believed was that Emily don't like Brennan from the very beginning because she was negative from the very beginning. She wants to pretend she wasn't negative from the very beginning, that she went negative after Brennan. I don't believe that. I think Emily has been negative from the beginning, just like Brennan says, because I saw it. Like I said, I saw it when she was talking about that daddy. I saw it. Emily's story doesn't hold water. None of these girls' stories hold water that you would want to save a man that treated you this horribly. I was glad Kevin called them out and said, or even it was Dr. Pepper, you want us to pretend like you guys are all these wilted flowers. You couldn't stand up for yourself. Finally, Dr. Pepper said something, but no, you're not wilted flowers. You're very strong. What did you say you are? You are strong. You are powerful. You're 10s. They're 6s. They're busters. Okay? You would never date them in real life. You're above them. But now all of a sudden you wilted flowers and they somehow or another overpowered you. First of all, Austin is not overpowering anybody. He don't even want to face the music. He over here talking about he got a tummy ache. Boy, get out of here. And then they confront Emily and say, well, Emily, if you knew all this information or believed all this information about Brennan, did you ever confront him? No, I never confronted him. Why? Because I didn't want to believe it. No, it's not. This girl, what a lie. What a lie. These women knew the game plan. They knew what was going on. And in the end, they had regret because it was making them look bad. They knew what was going on. They all knew what was going on. And I believe there's further regret, especially with Emily surrounding Claire. Emily, your first instincts were right. Your first instincts about Claire were right. That she wanted to be a leader. She wanted to lead you guys down a dark path. She wanted to orchestrate it all. Your first instincts were right. When you first had the inclination not to like Claire, they were right. But then what you did was you needed partners for all this collusion. You knew your marriage was over. You needed partners for collusion, so you jumped in the bed with Claire. It was convenient. Thieves amongst thieves, liars amongst liars. But your first instinct was right about Claire, and you all went down this dark, dark road, and the women lost. They lost. That's what happened. They lost. And at some point in time, they realized that they were losing. Now they decided that they were going to become the victims, when all along they were corroborators. They were not victims. They were corroborators. Emily is so negative. When Brennan said that he had a new woman, Emily said, I'm going to find her and I'm going to tell her all about you. This girl, she says she's a positive person, but what she decides she's going to say is, I'm going to find the woman you were dating. I'm going to find her and I'm going to tell her all about you. I'm going to tell her every negative thing about you. But even though I'm a positive person, I'm going to go ahead and spread some more negativity and toxicity out here in the world. And then she said, America will believe me, not you. You bet wrong, Emily. You bet wrong. Emily sat there and said, America will believe me. They won't believe you. And this is why I believe Brennan. I believe Brennan when he said, Emily told me that she will destroy me. When Brennan said, Emily told me if I leave this marriage, she will destroy me, I believe it. Because it sounds very familiar to what Emily just said about the girlfriend. I'm going to go tell your girlfriend everything about you. Every negative thing about you. It sounds like the same threat. It sounds like the exact same threat. When she told Brennan, if you leave this marriage, I will destroy you. It sounds like because you got a new girlfriend, I'm going to go over there and tell the girlfriend about you and I will destroy you. And then it also sounds very familiar with America will believe me. What she's saying is, if you leave this marriage, I'm going to go out into the world. I'm going to tell my story and America's going to believe me because I am the blonde. I am the white blonde girl. I am the Karen. I am the victim. And let me tell you, when I get in front of America, America's going to see me with this blonde hair and they're going to say, I believe Emily. I don't believe Brennan. And in the beginning, her little scheme was working, y'all. If you remember in the beginning, a lot of people were fooled by her. Not me, but okay. A lot of people were fooled by her in the very beginning. But here we are now. Emily, nobody believes you. I do not believe America believes you. America doesn't believe you. Your plan did not work. Your plan did not work. Emily, you better look at the whole story of the Karens in the world. Their story works in the beginning. The thing with Karens, the story works in the beginning. But the minute people start parsing the Karen story, it falls apart. But yeah, you're right. In the interim, they do a lot of damage. They do a lot of damage to the people they tell the lies on. But in the end, the Karen is sniffed out. The Karen falls. That's what happens. That's why they're called Karens. They cause a whole lot of problem, but in the end, they're the one left holding the bag. And that's what happened in this marriage. Emily absolutely said those things to Brennan, but now here she's holding the bag and she's sitting on here believing that America's gonna believe her. And the truth of the matter is, Emily, America doesn't believe you. America does not believe you. I'm part of America and I don't believe you. Brennan said, I thought I was coming on here for some free matchmaking. He said, I thought I was coming on here for some free matchmaking. I didn't know I was coming on here for some type of toxic reality TV show. Then you need to watch the past seasons, Brennan, because it wasn't no matchmaking going on Married at First Sight for a long, long, long time. I thought next season we was going to get some new experts. I thought this is such a disaster of a season that mafs definitely has to give us some new experts. But nope. We got the same experts next year. The same experts next year. And I don't know why. Because the fact that all these cast members tried to cheat the system, it gave the experts an out. It gave them an out. Because if these couples really had just tried to work and then let it fall apart and not play this game of collusion and trickery and lies, then the blame could have been put on the experts and maybe we would have got some new experts. But now these experts have a perfect excuse to say, you can't fire me. You can't fire me from being an expert on Married at First Sight because look what these cast members did all season. They lied, they connived. I really did make a good match, but the reason it didn't work is because of what they did. So now they get to keep their jobs. They get to keep their jobs. You ever try to fire somebody in corporate America and the person you're trying to fire comes up with an out to say you can't fire me because look what these other people did? You can't fire me because look what these other people did. That's where we are now with these experts. These experts cannot stand on their own record, their own merit, and say we should be fired because our matchmaking success percentage is low. They say that on max 69 couples, we only probably got about 6 people together. 6 couples together. Their matchmaking percentage is low, but now what they get to do, they get to live another year because what they can say is, you can't fire me for my poor performance because look what these other people did. So let me tell you, these cast members this season not only tricked, connived, colluded, lied, manipulated within their own marriages, they did it to us as an audience, and they made it so that we can't even fire these experts. We can't even fire them. Here come HR again. I've been talking about HR all season. I want to fire these experts. I want to get rid of them. HR has shown up again in my office, and what HR has told me is, nope, you cannot fire the experts this season, Auntie Deborah, because all of this went on, and all these things they can say, it's not my fault, it's these people's fault. So once again, I got to keep these experts as an employee, even though their track record, their performance is horrible. HR, we can't get away from HR. We really can't. After everybody finally came back from the stretcher from the ER, we got Brennan back. We got Cameron came back because, you know, they told them, if y'all don't come back, you don't get a check. I know that's what they told them. If you, Austin and Cameron, don't come back, you don't get a check. They little asses came back. Austin did what he needed to do. Go take some Pepto-Bismol. Go take some antacid. Do whatever you need to do. But if you think you leaving, you can forget about it. You might have pulled that the whole season, Austin. Lying, talking about the reason you wanted to get out of having sex with Becca. But you ain't going to do that no more. Bring your butt here and sit in this chair. But in the end, they went easy on him. In the end, they didn't go in on Austin at all. He barely got any questions. He was there, but he barely got any questions. But that's okay because Emily liked to fill the stage. She likes to fuss and fight. She likes the camera. She likes the attention. She likes the negative toxicity. So she was more than willing to take up the entire 2 hours. More than willing. And then when she got done advocating for herself, she decided to start taking up for Claire, talking about why doesn't anybody believe Claire? Why are we digging? See, what Emily didn't want people doing was, why are we still digging? That was her question. Because she doesn't want us to sniff through these stories she's telling. She's like, let's leave it alone now. I want to be able to take jabs, say nasty stuff, but I don't want you to dig. I don't want you to keep digging on Claire, because if you keep digging on Claire, you're going to reveal the truth. Well, first of all, Emily, we've dug enough. We really don't need to dig anymore because we already do know the truth. But you're not the one to tell us to stop digging. You're not in charge. I know, Emily, you want to be in charge of everybody. I know you want to be in charge of the audience. You want to be in charge of Brennan. You wanted to be in charge of Keisha Knight pulling him on the after party. You told her off. Now you're sitting over here trying to cuss out and tell off and be rude to Kevin as well and tell him off. Emily wants to be the head bitch in charge. She thinks she runs everybody. I really don't know who would be with Emily. Emily is only good for exactly what men have been using her for, and that's for a one-night stand. Don't nobody want to talk to Emily. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with Emily. Most people probably don't even really want to be in a friendship with Emily unless Emily is doing something for them and giving them something, which has to be sex, or maybe on her job she getting a whole lot of sales. Other than that, who the hell wants to be around a personality like Emily? Don't nobody want to be around her. She running around cussing out and telling everybody off. Something's wrong with Emily. Something is seriously wrong with Emily. No wonder men are ghosting her. She talking about she ain't figured out why men only want to go out with her after 2 dates, and then they ghost her. And now she can't figure out why Brennan didn't want to be with her. She does no self-reflection. Zero. They tried to ask Orion, do you think you gave up on the marriage too soon? What they didn't get what Orion was saying is, I gave up on the process too soon, but I didn't give up on the marriage. What Orion was saying was this. Orion is saying, no, it would have ended the same way whether I stayed in or not, because what he realized, Lauren is not the woman for him. But what he is saying, Orion is saying, I could have stayed in it and maybe I would have learned more and gotten more from the process. Like, people did say, right, Orion was there to get something for himself. And in the end, what he was saying is he could have done things differently. What he could have done was he could have stuck it out like all the other men did, and then maybe he would have learned more about the process. He might have gotten a little bit more out of the process. But in the end, what he was saying was, I might have gave up on the process too early, but I didn't give up on the marriage. I didn't give up on the woman too early. He knows that Lauren ain't his match. And Lauren over here is sniffing up after Michael, or Michael sniffing up after them. No, they're not a match either. Once again, we're going to get two wordy people together, two word salad people together. No, please. That's going nowhere. Nowhere. In the end, to be honest with you, between the experts, the men, and the women, really the only one who did take any accountability were the men. The men were the only ones who apologized between Cameron and Brennan and Orion. They're the only ones who apologized and said they did some things wrong and they took accountability for certain things. Whether or not you believe them or not, at least the words came out of their mouth. You know, we got some big apologies. We got Brennan apologizing to Dr. Pia. I thought that was a big moment. We got Cameron apologizing to Dr. Pepper for lying in her face. That was a big moment. We got zero apology from Lauren. We didn't get any apology from Becca. We didn't get any apology from Claire, and no apology from old girl Emily either. No apologies whatsoever. They just still kept playing the victim. Becca started talking about how she didn't feel comfortable coming as her authentic self. She felt that she had to be silenced or whatever. And experts challenged them on it and said, well, what was it that made you feel like you couldn't come to us? These women act like they was battered women. These women, this whole thing about psychological manipulation and women who are really psychologically, emotionally manipulated, I think they did that. I think they did a disservice to women who are really, 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 really emotionally abused out here. So much so that in the beginning of the season, people were thinking, is Brennan really emotionally abusing Emily? Come to find out, please. Emily probably can take out Brennan. They both met their match. They both met their match. We definitely know that Brennan probably can have some controlling ways to him. But let me tell you, Emily tops him in every category. Every category. And Claire came in here thinking she was going to be the top manipulator. And in the end, she met her match with Cameron too. Cameron over here with his lip quivering. Over here with his lip quivering, talking about how embarrassed he is. Don't worry, Cameron, you ain't got no friends who saw the show, because we know you don't have very many friends. None. Not that many at all. Like I said, Cameron over here just trying to get a check. Cameron is trying to not only get the original check, he's now trying to get heart surgery paid for, co-pays paid for, medical bills paid for, and also some punitive damages paid for. I know what Cameron's doing. I know exactly what Cameron is doing. Like I said, an HR nightmare. It's an HR nightmare. Well, it looks like we're going to have one more episode. We're going to have one more episode. I don't know. I guess it's going to be like a Where Are They Now kind of episode. And we'll see. We'll see if it's going to be more of the same, or if between now, this reunion, and this moment of Where Are They Now. Let's see if any of these people got any therapy with some therapists who can really help them. And we'll see if there's any bit of growth. Or are we going to find these women in the same delusional place that they were in on this reunion, which is they are strong, they are powerful, they are hot. The men are broke, and they wouldn't even go out with these men in real life. Let's see where we land. It looks like we're going to land also with Austin trying to pretend one more time that he now likes his roommate. That ain't even how men like women. So you was roommate with this woman all this time. You never had no sexual attraction to her. But now all of a sudden, because there's been these rumors out here that you want to hit for the other team, you're going to come back with this storyline that now you're attracted to your roommate. Another woman he can use to pretend that he's interested in women. And we know it ain't going nowhere. All of a sudden, men, where are you, men? All of a sudden, you're going to be interested in your roommate that you've been roommate with for a couple of years. Now, all of a sudden, you sexually attracted to her. Get out of here, Austin. Like I said, Austin is the biggest quiet liar on the show. Emily may be loud. She may be the loud liar. There may be a lot of loud liars, but Austin is the most quiet liar on the show. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye.